Welcome to the shopping mall. It's a place you're probably familiar with. You go there to do your shopping. There are lots of lights and sounds and escalators. There are lots of people wandering around, hunting for cheese graters, PlayStations, and doona covers. And one would forgive you for thinking that this is all quite commonplace. Shopping malls, after all, are for shopping. What's the big deal? But somewhere, deep down inside you, don't you get the impression that shopping malls are a bit, well, weird? To investigate this weirdness, I decided to pop down to my local shopping mall, Westfield Garden City, located in Mount Gravatt. But of course, I didn't go alone. I thought I would bring along the famous French philosopher Michel Foucault and his idea of heterotopia. Hetero what, you say? Heterotopias can be defined as places which exist within places, or as Foucault says, places which are outside of all places, even though it may be possible to indicate their location in reality. For the case of Garden City, it is a place which exists in Mount Gravatt, Brisbane, but it really doesn't have much to do with either of those things. It functions as an independent, alternate dimension with its own set of rules, customs, and spatial features. What this all means is that when you enter a shopping mall to do your shopping, you are in fact being transported to another world. So let's break that down a bit more. How does Garden City transport its customers into a so-called heterotopia? Put simply, it comes down to the idea of coercive space. That is, spaces where you are not fully in control. Where in the public realm you enter space on neutral terms, in the shopping mall you are the subject of the space, and you are therefore coerced to behave a certain way. This happens in lots of different ways, but to begin at the beginning. Have you ever found yourself lost in a shopping mall? Odds are you have, but did you realize it was probably intentional? The almost maze-like structuring of shopping malls isn't a design flaw. It's actually done on purpose. This is what's called the Gruen effect, or Gruen transfer, named after the inventor of shopping malls himself, Victor Gruen. He believed that good design equaled good profits, and so structured shopping malls in such a way as to influence impulse purchasing. This is done through situating the biggest and most popular shops at the center of the complex. For Garden City, this includes supermarkets, chemists, and major retail chains, and making shoppers have to navigate long and confusing pathways in order to get to these anchor stores. In other words, people are spatially coerced into spending more time and money in malls than they intended to. This intentional disorientation works to disorient people from the real world and plunge them into the alternate world of the shopping mall. But this is just scratching the surface. Shoppers are also disorientated through a hyper-stimulating and spatially incongruous environment. This is known as a spatial pastiche. In layman terms, this is the grouping together of multiple unrelated spaces into a single environment. In Garden City, you can go in to buy a kettle from Big W, and along the way visit the movie theater, play a game of 10-pin bowling, purchase an engagement ring, get a makeover, and have your child photographed in a tutu. The shopping mall harbors limitless distractions, all of which aim to keep your attention and spur on your desire to shop. But this has the side effect of becoming a formless commercial soup where no distinct identity pierces through. The randomness creates placelessness, as no particular meaning or cultural expression is conveyed. This is why shopping malls all basically look the same. And this is why a place like Garden City is a completely different world from the wider Brisbane it exists within. Not only are shopping malls disorientating, distracting, and spatially random, they are also a place founded upon artifice. This is not to say they are built upon lies, but rather they are designed to appeal to one's fantasies. As you walk through Garden City, after acclimatizing to the muzak and the colourful lights, you will find yourself bombarded with strange imagery, messaging, and advertising. They all work to conjure a sense of desire within you. Either consciously or subconsciously, you ask yourself, will this make me look attractive? Will this make people love me? Will this make me happier or feel more successful? You are the subject of the space. It is constructed around the consumer's imagination. In this way, Garden City also psychologically transports people as they decide whether to fend off their desires for another day or give in to temptation. One more thing to keep in mind is that although shopping malls may pose as welcoming public spaces, they are in fact heavily regulated. If we are to imagine the shopping mall heterotopia as a bubble, what keeps this bubble from bursting is strict regulation in the form of opening and closing hours, surveillance, security, and even policing. In this sense, any behavior deemed inappropriate to the mall environment is grounds for exclusion. This is why in a mall, you'll never find dirt, buskers, protesters, or homeless people. There are sanitary standards and intended uses which must be adhered to. Just to film in Garden City, I had to obtain permission from a Westfield manager, check in when I arrived, state for how long I would be filming and in which locations. And even after that, I was still approached by security. This is all suggesting that Garden City is a place with its own set of rules and customs, a different reality from the world outside. So maybe Garden City is a heterotopia. But so what, Foucault? Who cares? Shopping malls are cool. I like cheese graters, PlayStations, and doona covers. Leave me alone. That's a pretty fair take. But there are some implications to all this that we might consider. Foucault talked about heterotopias as places of deviation, where individuals are enabled to behave in ways counter to everyday reality. This may take a positive light if we are to consider somewhere like a gay club, where a queer subculture can be themselves without fear of persecution. But in the context of a shopping mall, where the deviation of behavior is to relentlessly consume without prejudice, how might this naturalize consumer culture? Make the act of thoughtless spending invisible and expected? In an age of late-stage capitalism, as we rocket towards unprecedented societal inequalities and ecological breakdown, can we really afford consumerism to become more normal? So next time you're at Garden City, or any mall for that matter, they're all the same, ask yourself, are you in control, or is the spirit of Gruen still haunting you? Ask yourself, do you really need that giant-sized plush Pikachu doll?